Hello everybody and welcome to another video. In today's faction focus we're going to be looking at the Idoneth Deepkin and see what the slippery eels have to offer for 4th edition. The Idoneth Deepkin are here for their faction focus, and let's see if they have many changes to their army. So if you don't know who the Idoneth Deepkin are, they're an elfin faction that was created by Teclis, and they kind of were a little bit of a mess, and he went to go and destroy them, and they escaped and lived under the sea, where they kind of become a bit like Aquaman, and they ride around on sea monsters, and they're kind of like, they're a bit like dark elves in Age of Sigmar. They kind of need to go out and get slaves for their souls to feed to their thralls because they don't have souls. And yeah, they kind of turn up with a magical sea, that like the aether that they bring with them for their giant turtles, eels, and weird monster seahorses. So yeah, they're kind of cool. They're very out there. Definitely very Age of Sigmar. But yeah, definitely check them out. And so as you can see, this the kind of stuff that you get. They have some of the most beautiful models in the entire range, especially the aspect of the sea. That cloak is really, really cool. The fact that the way it's engineered, there's multiple parts and it seamlessly goes together as it turns into like a cloak into a big wave. It's very, very cool. So there you go. You kind of got the sort of aspect of the sort of what they do turning up, and obviously a big giant turtle. Who does not love a big giant turtle? In fact, get 3. So let's have a look at their battle traits. So their battle traits are as follows. They have a once per battle army deployment phase. So pick a friendly regiment led by an Idoneth Deepkin hero. No units in that regiment kind of are already being deployed. So as you know now, the way sort of AOS is going to work is you build like a regiment around a hero, and if it's your general's hero, I think he gets 4 units, and normal regiment has 3. You can pick up all of that and put them into the traveling by the 8th sea. Okay, so you can basically put them off the board. And as you can surprise, the next one is in your movement phase, Raiders from the Deep. So pick a friendly Idoneth Deepkin unit that is traveling by the 8th by the sea to use this ability. Set up that unit on the battlefield wholly within 9 inches of a battlefield edge and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So they kind of come in from the edges and yeah, kind of represent them coming in through their weird magical sea. So the next one is the sort of big, chunky one, and if you've kind of been a fan of Idoneth Deepkin or played against them during 3rd edition, you will kind of instantly recognize this straight away. It is the Tides of Death. So a different effect applies to friendly Idoneth Deepkin units each battle round, as shown below. For the 5th battle round onwards, repeat the sequence starting with Low Tide. So this is pretty much exactly as it was back in 3rd edition. So battle round 1, Low Tide. For the rest of the battle round, subtract 1 from hit rolls for shooting attacks that target this unit, and subtract 1 from hit rolls for combat attacks that target this unit if it did not use a charge ability this turn. So it's a little bit different from 3rd edition. I think Low Tide in 3rd edition was they basically had cover, so they got +1 save. Not really great, but it could kind of really work well with save stacking that was prevalent in 3rd edition, where you could run your unit into cover, get +1 save already, and then get another +1 save from Low Tide, and then, you know, throw in a little bit of Mystic Shield and then get -3, basically ignoring all Ren coming in. But yeah, it was pretty good, but you're not going to be able to do that now. So -1 to hit from shooting attacks, and if the attacks from the target did not use a charge ability, then you're basically -1 to hit as well. But in most cases, you're probably going to get charged on turn 1, so it's not really going to be that second part, that little caveat to the thing, is probably going to be more of a round 5, where you're going into round 5 already in combat. Okay. So battle round 2, Flood Tide. For the rest of the battle, round, this unit can run, use run abilities, and still shoot and or charge. Later this turn, sorry. Just ran back up the stairs. Right, so, yes. So basically, turn 2, you can run and charge and run and shoot. Pretty much the same, okay? So battle round 3, High Tide. This is where it starts getting spicy. So for the rest of the battle round, this unit has Strike First. Pretty good. Pretty good. So basically you're wanting to kind of hit with your entire army in turn 3, or at least get into combat in turn, so to be in combat by turn 3, and then your entire army is going to have Strike First. That's pretty decent. So battle round 4, Ebb at Tide. For the rest of the battle round, this unit can retreat and still shoot and or charge later this turn. In addition, for the rest of the battle round, no mortal damage is inflicted on this unit by retreating abilities. That obviously is changed slightly with obviously the new rules to retreating and things, which is really quite nice. But the fact that you're going to be able to retreat, still shoot, and or charge back into combat kind of means that you're going to be able to kind of sort of dictate and what happens that turn as well, okay? So yeah, pretty decent ability. So you got battle formations, so you got Achillean Beastmasters, so it's a passive. So effects add 1 to hit rolls for combat attacks made with companion weapons by friendly Achillean units. That's really good, especially if you sort of go downhill, very cavalry heavy, so likes of the sharks, the turtles, and the eels. Even the king on his big fancy sort of seahorse thing, they're all going to get +1 to hit for their attacks, and that's really quite nice. Because sometimes a lot of the damage that these models will do comes from those attacks as well. So that's pretty good. And obviously you got to remember that the Games Workshop have already said that there's going to be like 3 or 4 battle formations for each faction when they come out. So we're going to get a few of these sort of simple 1 rules for factions. So we have the Lore of the Deeps. So there's going to be a couple of spells in this, and this one is pick a friendly Idoneth wizard, cast the spell, and then pick a visible friendly Idoneth Deepkin unit wholly within 12 inches of the target. Then make a casting roll on 2d6, needing a 6 or more. Remove the target from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. This is an unlimited spell as well, which means you can do it more than once. That is really strong. You've got basically you can do this on multiple wizards, and you can start teleporting your units around the battlefield. That is uber strong, and I can imagine this is going to be picked a lot of times when it comes to Idoneth Deepkin wizards. Yeah, the fact that it is unlimited as well, that is so good. Right, on to our first war scroll, and we have the Mathalan. So this is basically that big guy that was in the picture that I showed you with the really cool cloak that goes into the wave. There's 2 versions. There's the Aspect of the Sea, and then there's the other one. So there's a wizard and there's a close combat one. So this one has a 3-up save. He has a 10 move. He has 12 health, and he has control of 5. It's pretty decent. He has the Blast of the Abyssal Energy, so he's got 12-inch range, 3 attacks, 3s, -2, D3 damage, so not too shabby. He has melee weapons. He has the Psy Trident and the Deep Sea Cipher. So he's got 5 attacks, 3s, 1 rend, D3 damage. Good. And then he has a Shoal of Fish, basically. And they have 6 attacks, 4s, -1 rend, 1 damage. And it's a companion attack. Now, if he was in that battle formation that was shown, these little fishies would be hitting on 3s rather than 4s. So you kind of see how that's going to sort of tie in there. He has a passive ability, Dormant Engineers. Add 1 to the casting rolls for this unit. Nice, +1 casting. So as you can see, this is the wizard one, and it's a casting value of 1. He also has a 5-up ward save. That's really good, +1 cast, which means that you're going to be able to sort of, do that teleport spell if you really want to on like something like a 5, which is really good. You also have Tsunami of Terror, so you pick up to 3 different visible enemy units within 12 inches of this unit, within 12, not wholly within 12, to be the target. Then make a casting roll on 2d6, and the casting roll is 8, 7 for this model. Subtract 1 from saving rolls for combat attacks that target those units until the start of your next turn. -1 save, really nice. Pretty strong. So that could be that I can imagine is going to be really sort of a nice key spell once at the end of turn 2, once in turn 2 maybe, or going into turn 3 when you know you're going to be striking first, and then -1 save as well. So that's going to be quite a nice little combo. I can see this guy getting some play. Then they have Vengeful Waves, which is a once per turn army, any charge phase ability. So you declare this unit as not charged. This turn, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. Roll a dice on a 3+. The target cannot use commands for the rest of the turn. Nice. Really nice. Obviously, it's a rampage because this model is a monster, which is kind of cool. Then you have another passive ability where you ignore negative modifiers to the control scores of friendly Idoneth Deepkin units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this unit. Really, really good. So you've got to be able to get onto objectives and not be modified off it because of any of your effects to your control. That's pretty good. I can actually see this guy getting some play, which is really nice to see because he's such a really cool model and you don't often see him very often. So that was kind of nice. So the Tidecaster. The Tidecaster was such an important model back in 3rd edition because she was able to manipulate the tides and change things forward and backwards and stuff like that. So let's see what this one can do. It's 5 up save, movement of 6, 5 health, 2 control. She has a staff with 3 attacks, 3s followed by 4s, 1 rend, D3 damage. Not too shabby. She has a little eel that's going to get 2 attacks, 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage, and as a companion attack again will be affected by the battle formation ability. And then they have the once per turn army, your hero phase. Declare, make an Isharan ritual roll on a d6. Effect. On a 3+, so you need to roll a 3+, pick one of the following effects to apply until the start of your next turn. Creeping Mists. Friendly Idoneth Deepkin units cannot be targeted by shooting attacks unless the attacking model is within 12 inches of them. Wowzers. That is really cool. And this is a rule that the army had as a whole back in 3rd edition, in current edition right now, where you basically, you had to shoot the closest unit, basically. So you put your screen out and you put your chaff and you kind of had to shoot that, and you couldn't really shoot what you wanted to shoot because you had to shoot the closest unit. So you kind of still got that. But it's now built into this model, which is kind of what we're seeing. We've seen the similar sort of thing with the Fire Slayers yesterday, with their Mega Runes. So we're kind of sort of getting that vibe, which is kind of nice to see. I'm liking that. Surge Stream, so you add 1 to run rolls and charge rolls for friendly Idoneth Deepkin units. What turn would you want to do that on? I wonder if that would be turn 2 when you get to run and charge. And +1 to run and charge as well while you're doing it would be really, really good. And then you get Spiteful Riptide. Each time an enemy unit uses a retreat ability after the effects of this ability have been resolved, inflict D3 mortal damage on that unit. Ouch. That's really nasty. So she is a wizard. She has no ward save, and that is it. All right, but pretty good. I can see her being used because obviously, definitely for that +1 to run and charge rules, and it'll tie in really with the tide effects as well, which is really quite good. So we now get the shark, the Alopex. 4 up save, moves 12, 8 health, 2 control. Pretty solid. It's cavalry and it can fly. Shock horror. It has so basically this unit is armed with barb hooks and blades and the ferocious bite and one of the following. It can either have the harpoon or the net launcher. So the harpoon is 18-inch range, 2 attacks, hits on 3s, 2 on wounds, +2 wound, 1 rend, solid 3 damage. And it is an anti-monster +1 rend. Really nice. Or you can have the net launcher. 2 attacks, hits on 3s, wounds on 2s, -1 rend, 3 damage, anti-cavalry +1 rend. Really, really good. I can imagine that the fact that you're probably going to be able to take these in units 1 to 3, like before. So I can imagine that you're going to sort of have at least maybe 2 cavalry, or maybe two of the anti-monster ones, and then 1 of each. You're gonna kind of mix and match those weapons to cover all bases. So they've got the barbed hooked blades. So they've got 4 attacks, and this is the crew that ride around on them. They hit on 3s, they wound on 4s, which is not so good, but that's fine. They -1 rend, and they got 1 damage. That's good. But the Alapex Furious's bites is probably normally where the damage is. So 3 attacks, hitting on 4s. Remember, you can get that down to 3s. Wounding on 2s, 2 rend, nice, and 2 damage, and it's anti-monster +1 rend and a companion attack, which means if you come up against a monster, this is going to be rend 3. Holy crap, that's really, really good. Okay, so we've got some passive abilities. We got Bloodthirsty Predators. So add 1 to the attack characteristics of this unit's Alapex Furios bites while they're within 6 inches of any damaged enemy units, or while it is within 6 inches of any enemy units that have had any models slain in this turn. So this was a sort of I believe this is kind of an ability that a sub-faction's Alapex had. And they've kind of now just made it across all Alapexes. So basically, they're really big sharks, and if they smell blood, they get frenzied. That's basically what this is. So if you're damaged or had models slain within 6 inches of them, you're going to give them +1 attack. It's pretty good, and that's on everything. So they're going to be pumping out like 4 attacks on their bites, which is good. And then when you couple in with the battle formation, that's going to be hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. And if you're a monster, they're getting rend 3 against you. That's pretty solid. Okay, in the shooting phase, pick an enemy monster or cavalry unit that had any damage points allocated to it this turn by this unit's shooting attack to be the target on a 3+ until the start of your next turn. Subtract 1 from the number of dice rolled when making charge rolls for that target to a minimum of 1. That's kind of what it was like before. Basically, if you got hit by the netter, essentially, you weren't able to pile in. So you are still able to pile in now, but now what it's going to do is subtract 1 of the dice rolled. So you're going to go from a 2d6 dice to charge down to 1d6 dice to a minimum of 1. So you're always going to get a maximum of a 6-inch charge. That's pretty strong. It's pretty strong, especially if there's a key cavalry unit or monster that's going to come in and absolutely smash you. But it doesn't affect Gotrex anymore. Oh yeah. In fact, we don't even know what Gotrex is going to be like, so I'm not going to get too excited yet. But yes, that's not affected, because I lost the game because I got Gotrex locked down, and wasn't able to get Gotrex into his line for at least a turn, which would have probably helped me a lot. It was like during high tide, and I wasn't able to pile in and kill things. Wasn't able to pile in twice because Gotrex piles in twice. So yeah, a bit salty about that, but this is a nice little thing, and obviously it's against monsters and cavalry. So next up we have the eels. One of the eel unit. There is 2. There's the Echelon Guard, and there's another one beginning with an M. So they've got a 4-up save. They move 12. They've got 4 health each. That's nice. And they've got control of 1. So they are cavalry. They've got a champion and musicians, standard bearer, and all of that good stuff. And there is a unit of 3. So it's 1 in 3, basically. I would imagine that you're going to be able to increase that up to 6, but we'll see. So any combat phase. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice. On a 3+, subtract 1 from attack characteristics of the target unit's weapons for the rest of this turn. Nice. So on a 3+, -1 attack. Pretty good. I like that. They have a passive ability. This unit has a 5-up ward if it charged in the same turn. So good. 5-up ward save on the charge. Really, really quite nice. Pardon me. So yeah, pretty good abilities. Their attacks abilities have got the Hell Sabers. They've got 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage, and then anti-infantry +1 rend. Pretty cool. And then they've got the Fang More Fangs of Lashing Tails, 3s followed by 4s, 3 attacks, 1 rend, D3 damage, a companion attack. And again, they can get that down to hitting on 3s with that battle formation. So you kind of sort of see what's going to happen here. If you're going to lean into that and you want a lot of eels and sharks and turtles, you're going to want that battle formation for the +1 to hit. Because it kind of affects the mounts the most, and that's kind of what you want, because a lot of the times a lot of your damage is going to be coming from the mount rather than the rider. So yeah, pretty impressive with that one. And that is it. So we're going into the into Spearhead, and then we've got their Spearhead box, which is going to be the Shroll rendered guy. Kind of sort of does some deep strike things, or at least he did. 10 thralls and 3 eels and a shark. Pretty decent. And then we get kind of like a watered down version of the High Tides, and then we get the Thralls. So I quite like Thralls. At the start of 3rd edition, I really heard that infantry was going to be a really big thing for it, and wanted to do a really infantry heavy Idoneth Deepkin army with lots of Thralls and Reavers. And then we found out that yes, there was a sort of bonus to them with the battalions that you could take, but they also put in the hunters one with the cavalry, and it kind of just made infantry useless. I was very upset because I had a lot of thralls and a lot of reavers. But yeah, they've got a 5-up save, they move 6, they've got 1 health, 1 control. I can't see that changing anytime soon, especially for the main game. They've got 2 attacks, they hit on 3s, they wound on 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage, and anti-infantry +1, which is really, really kind of good. Again, I can't see that changing. And then they've got sweeping blows, add 1 to the damage characteristics of this unit's Lamari attacks if it targets a monster. I can see them pretty much keeping all of this in their main war scroll, to be completely honest. And then tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the Maggotkin of Nurgle. And as I pretty much, when we were talking about Tzeentch, I'm fully expecting to see the disease mechanic pretty much just be exactly like burning. I'd be highly surprised if it doesn't work like burning. But that is the Idoneth Deepkin. Pretty cool faction. Haven't really changed that much going in from 3rd into 4th edition. There's a couple of things there that have been tweaked for the new edition, but in all, there isn't that many changes. They're still going to be incredibly annoying. You know, they're going to be able to sort of like do shenanigans in turn 1, especially with their movement and everything else, with their deployment. An unlimited teleport spell is just going to be bonkers. Then they've got the Tide, so they're going to be able to run and charge in turn 2, and then they're going to strike first in turn 3, and then they're going to run away and then shoot or charge you again in turn 4, and then they get to sort of like hide a little bit in turn 5. If the game goes that long. They haven't shown the King, which the King was a bit of an absolute powerhouse, like getting like 15 attacks and all of this and pumping out the damage. So it'll be interesting to see if they've toned him down. We haven't seen the Turtle, we haven't seen the combat aspect yet. So there's a lot of big units that we haven't seen. But yeah, it's an interesting focus, and I'm expecting Deepkin to be relatively good. And they're a fantastic, for any painter, modeler, they're an absolute fantastic army with so many opportunities. Seen so many beautiful Deepkin armies with the sort of the beach bases with the waves crashing over the terrain and stuff. You can do a lot of real cool stuff with them as well. But that's the Deepkin, and then tomorrow we're going to be looking at Maggotkin of Nurgle. Hoping to see the Glotkin and the Great Unclean One and the Blightkin. They're the 3 things I would really like to see, and I'm, like I said, fully expecting the disease points to be exactly like burning. But we will see tomorrow. But that is the faction, folks. Everyone, if you like what I do, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. I am very, very close to 3,000 subscribers. It has been going really, really well. I'm about 70 away, I think. So that would be really cool if I could get them. In fact, what I'll do is I'm going to make a little video probably on Friday, depending on how far I am into 3,000. And I might do a little bit of a giveaway if I hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of the month. I have a little painted Gotrek model in non-metallic gold, tattoos and everything. And I might give them away to one lucky subscriber if we hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So as soon as we hit it, as soon as I'll give that away. So, yeah, I'll probably do a video on that separately. But thank you very much to everyone and all the support, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Goodbye for now.